Joan Quinn, a member of the California Arts Committee, is the former West Coast editor of Andy Warhol's Interview magazine and society editor of the Herald Examiner. Her cover stories are seen in Venice and Detour magazines, and she is a contributing editor to California Apparel News. For the next half hour, Joan will bring you inside news and views on society, art, film, and the exhilarating worlds of these multifaceted people. Here is Joan Quinn.
Hi, welcome to Joan Quinn, etc. Our guests are Erhard Hotter, manager of the Sheraton Mirage Gold Coast, and actress Carol Lynley. In between shows recently, I took off 10 days and went to Australia on Qantas Airline. It was a long 14-hour trip, non-stop from LA to Sydney. But once I got there, I went to the Opera House, and I went to the top of Harbour Bridge, and I spent a lot of time at the Powerhouse Museum, and then headed for the Great Barrier Reef. But before I got to that massive coral site, I spent a few days on the Gold Coast at the Sheraton Mirage. There was so much to do that I decided to let the people at the Gold Coast tell you about it. So in the next 4 interviews, on the next several weeks, you will be hearing from people who live and work in the Gold Coast, and they'll tell you why Queensland, Australia is so great. So when we were taping, we had so many fans watching that they were even talking to us from the sidelines. If you see us laugh a little bit along the way, you'll know that people were talking to us. Let's go to the Sheraton Mirage at the Queensland, in Queensland, Australia, with Mr. Hotter. Mirage Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, with the general manager of the hotel, Erhard Hotter. Hi.
Good morning.
Erhard.
How are you?
How are you? We're happy to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
You don't sound like an Australian.
Well, maybe because I haven't been born here. I have only lived here for 25 years.
Oh, maybe that does make you an Aussie.
It absolutely does.
Do you feel like it inside?
And proud of it.
Where were you born?
I was born in Germany.
And did you train to be a hotel
Yes,
hotelier?
I started out when I was 19 in the hotel industry, and I have been in ever since.
Really? Mm-hmm. Did you work in Europe then? And
yes, I worked in Europe in several different countries, and also in Asia. I worked in Thailand for a couple of years. I've been in New Zealand for a couple of years. I've been with Sheraton for 20 years.
That's a long time. Did you learn to speak different languages along the way?
Yes, I have. I studied French, and I can speak good Dynamite.
Whatever that is.
That's Australian.
Oh. That's a new one on me. That's very good.
Thank you.
You did train in Europe. Did you find the training or the people that you worked with in hotels in Australia, is there a similar background in hotel work?
I think there is in general, because it's hospitality industry, and I think that is what we're focusing on in general. And that doesn't really vary to a large degree from country to country.
But what do people expect when they come to Australia? Someone like you who came to work here, what were you expecting?
Well, I think in general, I think we expect that there is more opportunity and that the Australians are a real friendly bunch.
What, punch? Is that part of the language?
Yeah.
What makes up the Australian world?
Oh, the Australian world, I think, is very diverse because they come from all parts of the world, from different countries, from different backgrounds. It is a very diverse population in Australia.
I noticed one thing about the Sheraton Mirage is the friendliness of everyone. Does that come from the top, or is that an Australian trait, or how does that work?
I think it's a little of both. Yeah, I think that is certainly a main ingredient in our successful operation. The staff is extremely nice and pleasant and friendly.
And I noticed these pineapples everywhere. Is there a story to this?
Yeah, a slight adoption from Hawaii, because they are also considered as a symbol of welcoming people. And
look,
these are
look how they are.
Miniature pineapples, yeah, they're the real thing.
And you just put them in water like this?
And they stay for about 2 weeks like that.
And you had them in the front of the hotel at one time, you were saying.
When the hotel first opened, we had them in large bowls in front of the hotel, but they disappeared very rapidly.
So everyone felt very welcome. And this wonderful drink that we were just...
A concoction of mangoes, Cointreau, pineapple, and a few other secret ingredients is in there.
Things that come from Queensland, I guess.
Some of them are, yeah.
What is Queensland? What do you say when someone says, what is Queensland?
Well, I think Queensland is the most interesting state in Australia because it is on the right side of Australia to begin with.
What does that mean, the right side?
It is surrounded by water all down the coast from New South Wales right up to the north. And I think it's such a very, very desirable holiday destination.
Do you draw people from all over the world to your resort?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we have a healthy proportion out of Europe, out of Japan, and hoping that we get some out of the United States.
Well, the United States has wonderful beaches, but nothing that compares with these. You can walk along for miles and miles, and there's no one there. You could be so private here.
Yeah, that is a real feature of Surfers Paradise, and also of this hotel because it's right on the beach.
And we were at a casino last night, and it was filled with people. I didn't know there were that many people around because you never see them during the day.
Well, because it is a holiday destination, there's a lot of people coming, particularly on the weekend down here, but it is a very, very popular destination.
When you have a VIP in from someplace, what would you do with them? As the manager of this great resort, where would you take them?
A difficult question to answer because all our guests are VIP.
Very tactful.
But if there are some more VIP than others,
yes,
we have special ways of showing them true Mirage hospitality. We have excellent accommodation available for our guests, for VIPs, some of our suites. We also have a very unique component to this hotel, and that is our villa suites. They're extremely private. Some of them have a roof garden, a completely private roof garden with a barbecue area.
Oh, really? So they could hide out if they wanted to hide out. And I know you do something really special. You have you also have a special evening for guests, a cocktail party, I understand.
Yes, we do that every Friday, and in the main season we actually do it twice a week.
But it's such a friendly thing to do, and you go around and meet everyone and call them by name, and they feel very comfortable.
It is very important for us because many of our guests stay for about a week or to 10 days. During the course of the day we cannot always meet them, so we gather them all together, and the department heads will all have the opportunity to meet our customers.
And I think you told me earlier that people come back and back and back.
We have many, many repeat customers, yeah, many of them.
And one person, tell us that story. How many times has he been here?
We have one guest, he has been here 111 days.
It's so hard.
In the last 9 months.
Is that right? Does he ask for the same room?
Ask for the same room, and as he said, he's addicted to the product.
I think what I'm going to do is put you on the spot the next time and ask for that room. And we'll see what a really good general manager you are.
I can absolutely assure you you'll get it.
Thank you, and thanks very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erhard. And thanks for being with Joan Quinn, etc. in Australia. We're back in the studio, and Mr. Hotter taught us that pineapples are a symbol of hospitality. So we extend a pineapple to our next guest, Carol Lynley, and we'll talk to her when we come right back after the break. Welcome back. We don't have any pineapples on the set, but we do have Carol Lynley. Carol Lynley was born in New York and started working as an actress and model when she was 10 years old. By the time Carol was 15, She gave up photo sessions with renowned photographers Horst and Avedon and many of the other fine photographers and left behind the world of fashion, along with her magazine covers, and followed her acting career. Carol,
Yes?
did you just plunge into acting classes? What did you do?
Well, I had never studied acting. I still have never studied acting. I started acting when I was 10, and then when I was 15, I decided that that's what I really wanted to do. And so
How?
I gave up the modeling, but by then I had done like 2 or 3 shows on Broadway, and I had toured in a play, and I had done 2 films by then, and lots of live television. And then I just decided that I really enjoyed the acting more, and I never wanted to get into that sort of actress model thing, which I, thank God, managed to avoid by giving up modeling at that age.
So you were
Just
doing
walked
all
away from it.
You were doing all those shows on Broadway and TV.
Oh yes, by the
While
time
you were before you were 15.
Oh yes, by the time I was 15, I had done 3 shows on Broadway.
Did you have a mother at home coaching you? Did you have a stage mother?
No, actually, as you know, obviously you don't wake up at 10 and say, I must be in show business. I think that she was ambitious for me, but as stage mothers go, she was pretty good. I don't have any complaints.
Did she take you around to everything? I mean,
No, I just started working. Literally, I was going to school. I'm from Manhattan, and I was Upper Manhattan, the north of it, and I was going to Catholic school, and my mother got me some sort of modeling job, modeling clothes for an Eskimo catalog. And they sort of put dark makeup on me. It's a very strange life, Joan. And on the way home, we had to take the subway up to Inwood, which is the northern part of Manhattan, and somebody had told my mother about a modeling agency, and we just happened to stop. It was by the subway stop. And we just went up, and I've worked ever since.
That's really...
And hope to continue to, may I say so.
Really, I think
Yeah.
you made the right decision since you have 43 movies under your belt.
Yeah, quite honestly, I think on my own, I probably would have become a ballet dancer, which is what I had started out doing. I'd started that at 6. But then the acting thing just, took over, and I obviously have much more longevity
Yes.
as an actor.
Than a dancer.
My dream is to play Helen Hayes parts. I want to, Helen, I love you, but it can't go on forever.
But you could also be playing Grand Hotel. You still are on point.
Yes, I still work on point, but Sid Charisse is doing that now, so I have to let Sid do it.
But you can come. You'll be along the way soon.
Yes,
yeah.
Lillian Montevecchi originated
Yes.
that part, and I would run into her quite a bit, and Lillian would say, I can't believe that I've gone back on point, at this stage of the game. But
it happens.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about this business, the business that I'm in, is that you never know from day to day, I mean,
Carol does come to class every day and works out.
When I'm in LA, and I'm going to be in LA a lot more now, yes, I do. I do something every day. I prefer it. It keeps me off the streets. And out of trouble.
There you were, going on Broadway,
Uh-huh.
and Carol Lynley wasn't your real name.
No, my real name is Carol Ann Jones, which has a nice, simple ring to it. I personally liked it, but I did a play for Moss Hart when I was 12. And Moss had to change my name because there's an equity ruling that there's only one name per actor. And there was an actress called Carolyn Jones, and equity said it was too close.
Oh, I wondered if it was Carolyn.
Yeah, it was Carolyn
if it had
Jones.
been Carolyn
And
Jones.
my mother wanted to call me Nora O'Flynn.
Sounds good.
Why? Who knows?
Nice Irish
And I
name.
was in the office with Moss, and Moss was going over sort of names, and he was thinking, my mother was pushing Nora O'Flynn, and I said to Moss, Moss, I used to call him Mossy, I said, Mossy, I'm only 12, and I've been called Carol for a long time. I said, I don't care what the last one is, but I really like to be called Carol because it's so confusing, And he took the L-Y-N off of Carolyn.
Oh, is that what he did?
And he was thinking Lee, L-E-I-G-H. And then he sort of said, what about L-Y-N-L-E-Y? I said, okay, as long as I can be called Carol. And he said, well, you got it. And he said, it has a ring to it. And I said, great. And that's how I got my name.
And that was it?
Yeah, I keep my passport in my legal name because I think Jones is a nice, sweet name. There are so many of us,
We talked about all the
films. Non-exclusive club.
Well, you could be Carol Ann Smith.
Yes, or Carol Ann Brown,
We talked about so many movies that you were in, and I know we could go through a list. I picked out a few, just titles like Return to Peyton Place, The Stripper, Under the Yum Yum Tree, The Cardinal,
Blue Denim,
Harlow,
you know, I've done
Bunny Lake is Missing.
Bunny Lake is Missing with Laurence Olivier and Noel Coward.
And
Oddly enough, I can like cite a list till I'm blue in the face, and when I say the Poseidon Adventure, a light bulb always goes up, and people go, "Oh yeah, you know, that's the one they know."
Well, the one thing I always say, Carol Lynley, and people say, "Was she in such and such?"
Oh,
and go,
Baby Doll. Yeah.
No, that
Or was I
was
Lolita?
Yeah, or Lolita.
Yeah. I have a theory that, because you're not blonde, so you don't know about this, but I have a theory that people have a tendency to lump blondes together.
Well,
And
the blonde jokes, the dumb blonde jokes.
I don't like dumb blonde jokes. I don't like dumb Polish jokes, and I don't like those kind of jokes.
But it is funny because Tuesday Weld and
Yes.
Carol Baker and
Well, Tuesday is a very dear friend of mine. We used to model together as children. I mean, Tuesday and I have known each other since I was 10 years old, and we're still very close.
so you just kind of made your career moves along the way.
Yep. And Carol Baker, Sue, I've met. I really don't know very well.
Sue Lyon, who was
but
in
Carol Baker, I had
Lolita.
never met until like a year ago. We were at a party. We both sort of stopped dead in our tracks and said, "Carol?"
Do you remind each other of each other? Do you feel like you remind?
Quite honestly, I couldn't say, I've never really seen it, but yes, I could say that, yeah, I guess we could be related. She's smaller than I am. She's very nice. And
I'm sure you're all very nice. No, you are
No,
very
she's
nice.
very nice,
It's
you
just
know.
that it seems like people just
Well, we were the
Don't
hit of the
track.
party because we were just jumping up and dancing, Harlow, Carol, Carol, you know, because all these years we'd never met, you know. And she says that she gets recognized for me all the time. I get recognized for Tuesday. Tuesday gets recognized for me. If it's a good year, I say yes. If it's a bad year, I say no.
Would you say it's been a help or a hindrance when you've gone out to audition?
I think that when you've worked as long as I have, and you have such a body of work behind you, it doesn't really matter one way or the other.
You can just go in
Also,
and
they're all very good actresses. So I have nothing to complain about. If I was going to be mistaken for somebody who was supremely untalented, I might get a little picky.
That's true.
But they're
that's
very
true.
nice ladies, and we're all quite different in a way. You know, I don't know. I of course have a singular point of view of it.
And you talk about working.
Tuesday and I actually could be sisters easily.
really?
Yeah. When you see us side by side, yeah.
But you do say that they're excellent actresses.
Yes,
and
they are.
And,
Yes.
and you've worked with a lot of the greats.
Yes, I have. Yes, I
Olivier
have.
and Kirk Douglas.
Yes, and Rock Hudson and Dame Flora Robeson and gosh, I've been very lucky. I've worked with some wonderful people.
What about romantic interests?
What about them?
Well, have any of these people ever been romantic interests?
People I've starred with? I had a romance with an actor called Oliver Reed that went on
yes.
for a long time, which may or may not have been a very good idea, but he certainly was a very interesting fellow. Generally, I think that's, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. Most often it doesn't, because you're so busy actually working that you don't do that, and if you do that, you do it after the film. But generally, I behave myself.
What about in between all these films? All the films and all the work.
Yeah.
You had time to get married.
I have a child, Jill. I was married very briefly as a child myself.
As a child?
Yes, I was married at 18, divorced at 19, and a mother at 18 and a half.
Oh, you really were.
So I really was a child. I call myself, I was a former child mother, and which I'm sure wasn't very easy on my daughter. But on the other hand, she is here, so there you go.
And
yes.
she is terrific.
Yes, she's great. She's great. And I've had more than my share of romances, and some of them have been very, very good. I will get married again sometime.
You've
but
never been married since
No,
then?
I've always had sort of a fear of it. I had such an unhappy experience that it always kind of like, I had a fear of it. And also I had to work and earn a living and support my child and everything, so which took up a lot of my life.
You did spend a lot of time here while you were raising Jill and sending her to school here.
I was always sort of bi-coastal. I was between here and New York for about 25 years. I was one of the first people who did that. And then at one point I was bicontinental. I was living in London and commuting to LA and going through New York. And now I want to be a Californian. I love New York, I love Manhattan, but if I never go through another winter again in my life, I'll be very happy. This is the first winter I've spent only in California, and I love it.
But what about work? I mean,
Well,
do
I
you
made
get
a
more
lot of
work when you're here, or do you get more work when you're there?
Well, oddly enough, I've been here for a couple of months now. I finished a film about 2 months ago called Heartfelt with Priscilla Barnes. And I'm doing a commercial for a beauty product.
An infomercial?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
But I'm shooting it in New York.
Well, that
So there
takes
you
you, but
go.
it's good. You go as a tourist, more or less. You go and you stay in a hotel.
Yes,
and you know,
yes, I'm looking forward to that. And as I say, I love New York and all of that, but all the things that I didn't like about California, I now love. And I was out here last January, and I just didn't want to go back, and I did, and then I sort of spent time thinking about it, and then, as I say, I just love it. I love it.
You did a lot of TV appearances, I know. Did you ever have a
series?
A series?
No, I want to do one. That's the one thing I've never done. I've done everything but that in radio, and I did a lot of TV early in my life, and then I did all the films in the theater, and I've actually not done a lot of television. And I would like to rectify that by doing a series that becomes an enormous success, that I can have a wonderful salary, and I can stay on it for 7 years and become part of Americana, you know.
I think it's great.
And I want to be an American icon.
Don't you? I think it's great
I think
to be a
I
part of
deserve it.
something. Oh, not just for you, but to be a part of that, and not say, I can't do something for 5 years, or I can't do something for 7 years.
Oh, I could easily do it for 20 years.
See?
You know, it gives you, it plugs you right into the American culture immediately if it's a success. And it also gives you some continuity, and you get movies of the week, and I've always been amazed that I haven't done it. I've never even done a Murder, She Wrote. I am the only actor in Los Angeles.
Oh.
I told them I'm beginning to take this very personally now. They've been through the Players Directory 15 times. You know, we're using every actor.
They'll come to you. They'll come to you.
They better. They better. I told my agent I'm going to come haunt him in the middle of the night.
You did a
Angela,
cable.
are you listening?
Angela, right. No, Walter Grauman.
Okay.
He's listening, I'm sure, so you can talk to him.
Well, anyway, I'm just beginning to feel a little left out because I've never done that show.
Walter watches us.
But
so.
you take somebody like Angela Lansbury, you know, she had a very early career. She started, I believe, at 15 or 12.
Oh, the same type of situation?
And she did movies early, and she ended up doing a wonderful movie, The Manchurian Candidate, playing Larry Harvey's mother when she was actually, I think, 2 years younger than he. And she had a long career that really didn't involve TV very much. And then suddenly she had that series, which, you know, has been in the top 10 for the last 10 years.
But she wasn't afraid to take chances. Would you be afraid to come in and be somebody's mother or some role?
I'd be somebody's grandmother, Joan. I'd be somebody's great-grandmother. I told you I want to play the Helen Hayes part. You know? So I got to get ready sometime, right? I have no ego about that sort of thing. I think that if you consider yourself an actor, I always say actor because that's what we do. We act.
think so too.
Actress is just a gender term.
Right.
I think that if you want a career and you consider yourself a talented person, you have to realize that you have to do what you have to do to play the part, and you're playing the part. It's not you. Although I do like to look gorgeous all the time, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Take your makeup man with you.
Yeah.
When you were in New York for a while, you did a talk show.
I have a talk show.
Oh, you still do have
Yeah, I
it?
still have it. I shoot it about 6-7 times a year. I go into a studio similar to this. The set is not as good. Your set is much better.
Kathleen Spiegelman does a
I'll
beautiful
have to remember
job.
her name.
And our flowers.
And I do
Clifford.
I interview, for some reason, government officials of Taiwan quite a lot. And I discuss Chinese politics. And I do the Toshiba people, and then I do celebrity interviews, which of course is the easiest for me. And when I first started doing it, having been interviewed all my life, it was very difficult for me not to talk.
I can imagine.
So I would
know.
ask a question, I would answer it, I would tell a funny story.
And your guest would be sitting there.
And my guest would be sitting there. My producer would sort of like give me lessons on asking the question and then shutting up, you know. And I got better at it. But at first, you know, because I was always the interviewee, you know.
But I think it is something you have to learn. It seems
Yes.
like it's so easy to ask a question, but it isn't. It's like, now, we have 2 minutes left, Carol. What am I going to ask you
or
next?
sometimes you get people who are not used to being in front of the camera and they freeze. And I had one fellow who was talking about something and he just stopped and he started sweating buckets, and I had like little mops of things, you know, I was patting him down, and we'd break the tape and then we'd go back, and then finally there'd be long pauses, and I was feeding him all the questions and then answering for him, and then finally I had to get him to talk, and I said, now I know you really want to talk to me about XXXX, and there was a long pause, and he said, no.
Oh dear, that's the nightmare, the nightmare. What do you do?
I said, well, if you did, I know what you would like to tell me.
And you went on and answered everything for him and saved your show.
And the guy, I mean, it was ringing, you know. I'm sure your guests don't behave like that.
No, I'm always sure that I get someone who knows how to talk.
It was just that sometimes you get people who are not used to being in front of the camera and they get stage fright.
Well,
that was it. He was a very nice man, but...
I was happy to have you because I knew you would talk.
Do you have an hour? Do you have 2?
I think we have about 20
I have
seconds.
an 8x10 glossy in my agent's name, you know, hey. You know.
We have just a few seconds left.
I'm sorry.
And I'm glad.
I could stay all night.
Well, we can go on and on,
but I know.
But you already told us what you like about LA. That's one of the things that I ask
It's grown
at the end.
up so much, you know. It has grown up so much, and there's a lightness to it. I call it a silliness.
Light.
Not only physically light, but there's an emotional lightness to it where you don't find in New York, which is a more serious city because it's tougher.
But it's tougher, but
it's a great city though.
Los Angeles is great.
They're both great. It's just, I think it's just a little bit easier to be a blonde in LA.
Okay, good. And with that, we're going to say goodbye to our blonde.
I get to go to the beach more of the time.
Goodbye to our blonde, Carol Lynley.
Goodbye.
Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
And we'll be back watching you and having you watch us on Joan Quinn, etc. See you next time.
You seen that, Joan? I could.